Hey guys, so I thought of another funny and clean Army story. I just got back from my morning run, and this story is about how I ended up in the newspaper and made my first sergeant happy by coming in dead last in a race. Now, back in 2004, I was part of the MFO, the Multinational Force and Observers, that was stationed in Sinai Peninsula of Egypt. And we were part of the peacekeeping force that was making sure that the peace treaty between Egypt and Israel was being enforced. Egypt wasn't building up their forces on the border to invade, and Israel wasn't building up their forces on the border to invade. So, the MFO it's a contingent of, I think at the time, 14 nations. America, Fiji, Colombia, New Zealand was there. Those guys were awesome. Italy, France, Hungary, all of these nations had come together to sit on the border between Egypt and Israel and enforce the peace treaty. And normally you would spend time there were two camps, South Camp and North Camp. And normally you'd spend 21 days at South Camp and then 21 days out on what they call out on site. And these sites were these almost like combat outposts. They had bunkers and barbed wire. But we could also cook there. We had a TV. We could take a shower through a water tank and all that. So it wasn't a bad deployment. And it was very low risk. Well, every year they had the MFO games, which were almost like an Olympics, and all of the countries involved in the MFO would go and do the games and compete for prizes and bragging rights. Well, my first sergeant told me one day, I think I was back from site, I was doing some laundry or something. My first sergeant called me. He said, "Hey, Sergeant Beth, I need you to represent us in the triathlon at the MFO games." I'd never done a triathlon before. And I didn't even have a bike. But I had this reputation in my unit as the runner. Every unit has the guy who's the runner. There's some guys who are fast runners, but there's guys like me who are distance runners. And it's not that I'm particularly good at distance running, but I could do it and I wouldn't complain about it. So there was always, "Hey, Sergeant Beth, they're going to represent us at the Army 10 miler. Roger, First Sergeant." So I was always that guy. So my first sergeant tells me, "Hey, I need you to compete in the triathlon in North Camp." I said, "Roger, First Sergeant. I don't have a bike." And he goes, "Don't worry about that. I'll get you a bike. Be ready in 2 hours. We're leaving." "All right, First Sergeant. I think I need to call back to site and let him know I'm not going to be there. How long am I going to be gone?" He said, "Oh, you're going to be gone 3 days." "Roger, First Sergeant." So I pack some stuff up. I get to the command post, and the first sergeant has my bike there. Now, for a triathlon, you swim, bike, and then run. Now, I don't know if you've ever watched an Olympic triathlon, but some of these bikes look like they should be, launched into space. They're that high tech. The bike the first sergeant found me was a fixed gear delivery bike with a bell and a basket. All right, we can make this work. So, first sergeant, puts me in this van and put the bike in the van. I think we had a couple of other people going up to North Camp as well for whatever reason. I drive up to North Camp. I get checked in at billeting, bring my bike in. And first sergeant goes like, "Hey, make me proud. I'll be back in 2 days to come pick you up." "Roger, First Sergeant." He leaves. First thing I do is I go see the New Zealanders. Now, anybody who's served the New Zealanders knows that these guys are cool as all hell. And you think I can drink? These New Zealanders can drink. So the New Zealanders were there as like a training contingent. Like if you were going to go to site commander school, they would teach the school. So first thing I did was I go directly to the New Zealand bar and I look for this guy named Jamie who had been my instructor. And he saw me there. "Hey, Ryan, good to see you again, What are you here for?" Like, "Oh, well, I'm doing the MFO triathlon tomorrow." And he goes like, "Oh, that's fantastic. I have some advice for you. Drink all night and just run on fumes." And, actually at the time that seemed like some pretty damn good advice. I didn't pay for a single drink that night. The triathlon was at 06 in the morning. I think I drank with the New Zealanders until about 3 in the morning, maybe. Got maybe 2 hours of sleep. Woke up hungover, dehydrated. Get my clothes on, go out to the starting line, get in line for the pool. We all do the pool. I managed to get through the pool. We all get on the bikes. And I was kind of in the middle of the pack getting out of the pool. I get on my bike with the bell in the basket, ding ding. Get on the road with my little bike, and the Italians and the French, they have like racing bikes, like Tour de France Olympic racing bikes. And these guys just go shoo, 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 passing me and my little fixed gear single bike. I swear one of the French flicked a cigarette at me as he flew by. So I'm on my little bike, and then like the smaller nations start passing me. Norway passes me. The Colombians start passing me. And they have like mountain bikes, but at least you can change the gears, And it's just me. So I'm pretty much dead last. So we do I think it was a 12-mile bike. I can't remember. And we didn't have Garmin's back then to track. Well, they existed, but they weren't as cheap as they are now. So I get to the transition area, park my bike, go in for my run, do the little howdy doody thing. My legs are just on fire. It's hard moving a single gear delivery bike 12 miles, And I start the run, and I realize like I am dead last. I think we're doing either 5K or a 10K. It was probably a 5K. And I do my run, and I can't even see people. Like people had like left. There's like no one cheering me on or anything. But I get closer to the finish line, and then I start seeing people cheering, and they're, yeah! And I see them put the tape up. And I thought, like, did I just go back in time or something? Like, how did I make it up to the front? Why are they putting the tape up? And I cross the finish line, put my hands up like that. And I later find out I had come in dead last. Dead last. 40th out of 40. But they had put the tape up again because the photographer for the Post newspaper didn't get a picture of the guy crossing the finish line first. So I was so far behind, they put it up a second time so I could cross it and he could get a picture. So I spent the next 2 days kind of on a mini vacation up at North Camp, and I think I got a chance to go to El Arish, so I was able to swim in the Mediterranean Sea. That was kind of cool, And I see the Post newspaper, for North Camp, and I crossing the finish line. My first sergeant comes to pick me up. He's like, "How'd you do there, Sergeant?" Showing the newspaper. Outstanding! I think I got a coin for it, So that's my story of how I made my first sergeant happy, coming in last in a race.